This globalization process, which is conducting its first steps, also triggers big changes in competitive environment. New players from emerging countries with high specialization, a lower cost base, or important sources of raw materials put pressure, a lot of pressure, on developed economies. We are witnessing a disintegration of the value chain, with an increasing tendency to outsourcing and offshoring and the entrance of new competitors from related industries. Superior client service, time to market, and organizational flexibility are more important than ever to compete in this new environment. Moreover, we live in a time where changes in one part of the world can have an important impact on the other side of the globe due to the interconnectivity of today's financial, political, and social systems. As you all know, market conditions can change very, very quickly. We do not need to look any further than what is currently happening to the world economies. The current financial turmoil started last year in the US, where the financial system had grown tremendously through disintermediation and what is known as subprime lending. Loans granted to people with low capacity of repayment were repackaged and sold so that the risk spread to the global capital markets, not always with the degree of transparency that would have been desirable. As all of you know, and I'm sure you have analyzed in depth during your program, when the first subprime mortgage clients started to default on their loans, the crisis spread globally at a very fast pace due to the interconnectivity of global financial markets. The result was a confidence and liquidity crisis against which even fundamentally sound financial systems, like the Spanish one, probably the most sound financial system now, are not immune. And we are far from having seen the end of this retrenchment process. After large adjustments in values for financial and real estate assets all over the world, we are now facing increases in oil and food prices, which put pressure on inflation, lowering purchasing power and keeping interest rates at high levels. The effects on the real economy will be substantial, and any adjustment, anticipated or not by the economists and business leaders, inevitably leads to changes and tensions in the social systems. Quite a lot of tensions in the social systems, we'll see, and alters the global balance of power, especially if it affects such sensitive issues like energy and food supply. This example illustrates that managing and working effectively in complex and rapid changing environments will be crucial for you in order to progress and develop your professional career. It is obvious that a global world offers many opportunities for those who know how to play the new game, but it also adds risks and complexity. I would like to share 3 lessons with you today, which I consider important for you in order to face these challenges ahead. First lesson, the courage to take risks. The first is the need to be courageous. Be ready to take decisions rapidly and assume your risks, especially in times of high levels of uncertainty. That is what will make the difference. Unlike in the academic world, in business, you seldom will have the time to analyze your decisions to the very last detail and considering all the potentially explanatory variables. It is always better to be approximately right than to be exactly wrong. What does this mean? that from now on, you will have to focus on gaining experience, taking decisions, losing the fear of getting things wrong, but for God's sakes, not too wrong. Learning from your mistakes and not repeating them, which is not that easy. This is another type of learning you are facing, one with real-life responsibility attached to it, and one in which you will have to decide. As Benjamin Franklin, founding father of the United States, put it, the worst decision is indecision. I do not need to emphasize that taking the right decision is much more difficult the more the uncertainty there is. And we have uncertain times right now. But then again, the more uncertainty and hence risk, the more chances for a real breakthrough, for a great business decision, and for a real learning experience, the more chances you will have. However, at the same time, one must be prudent and understand that there are some risks which is better to let go by. Please do let go by. This is what experience will teach you. Develop the intuition to take the right decision. The gut feeling, and it takes time to develop the gut feeling of good business leaders based both on rigorous analysis but also the business acumen acquired by years of practice. A good example is the way Ben Bernanke and Hank Paulson reacted to the recent liquidity crisis. How they brokered the audacious buyout of Bear Stearns by JP Morgan, and hours later, for the first time since the Depression in the United States, opened a discount window for investment banks. These are only two examples of their ability to take decisions fast and to take risks in a highly uncertain environment. Indeed, astonishing for two leaders of institutions which typically could be prone to bureaucratic behavior. Jack Welch, former chairman and CEO of General Electric, puts it this way: they displayed critical management qualities which are decisive in any crisis: courage, swift action, and upfront communication. The second value I would like to share with you is coherent decision-taking and behavior. Apart from courage for rapid decision and risk-taking, any good professional needs to be passionate, care about people, and stick to his or her set of values. Or in other words, be coherent in both business decisions and personal relationships. Passion is our internal engine and source of enthusiasm. Passion leads us to hard work and to finish our duties with excellence. Passion allows for creative and innovative forces to unfold. Passion allows us to drag along those who are having a hard time accepting that the world is changing and that new approaches are necessary.